Hello, everyone. This is the Inner Voice Show, part of the Evolving Mind series in the Togetherness media. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine. I'm a psychotherapist and the founder of the Awareness Integration Theory. And this is a show about what matters most in our life, our minds, our thoughts, feelings, actions, relationships, and our fulfillment in this beautiful journey of life. So today, I will share with you in the tip of the week about change. Yes, it's inevitable. So let's get ready for it. And then I will share the latest research about, are you ready? Even light to moderate drinking is associated with harm to the brain. Yes, it is going to make your brain smaller and takes away from your brain health, and we're going to make it age. So this is probably not the news you wanted to hear, but it's important for you to hear. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Here's the tip of the week. Change is inevitable. Yes, we all know it. Yet, it produces the most amount of anxiety for people. Change creates stress. When the change is chosen and the future is expected, such as moving up the academic ladder, getting a promotion in the company, getting married, having a child, any of those changes, they're still stressful. Even when change is chosen, there are areas of unknown awaiting that creates anxiety. There's also grief and mourning period to let go of the status quo, whether you liked it or not. There's also the uncomfortableness and the effort of acquiring new behaviors and patterns while letting go of the old ones. When change has not been chosen and it is forced upon, such as being fired, laid off, being told that your partner is requesting for a divorce, a war, pandemic, illnesses, all of those. The shock, the denial, the resistance, the anger, anxiety, and the grief of losing what the person has become extremely hard. Envisioning a pleasurable future is going to be resisting, and at times even impossible. I've talked to a senior in a high school who's going through the transition from childhood to adulthood, knowing that he needs to say goodbye to all his friends who all will be going to different colleges across the nation, anxious about moving to college away from home for the first time in his life, terrified of taking care of himself without his parents being there all the time. I had a conversation with a woman who, after 10 years of marriage, her husband left home and wants a divorce. She is in the utmost grief stage, bargaining at times, begs at times, yells, pushes him away, cries all day, and will not accept what is being proposed. She refuses to see a future without him and therefore cannot envision the future of herself. I spoke with a man who, after 3 months of sobriety, after 10 years of being on painkillers and other types of opioids, is terrified of living sober day to day and faces his emotional dysregulations. He misses his coping mechanism of numbing his feelings, even though it was truly unhealthy. The future terrifies him. He does not see himself equipped to create a successful life. So his anxiety, shame, hopelessness, and helplessness pushes him away, goes back to relapse. Even relapse terrifies him. He feels stuck between a rock and a hard place of misery with change in any direction. I spoke to a couple who are in love and are planning to move in together and get married. Great plan. It's all a good change, right? They are both very anxious about how to adapt to each other's space, temperament, and needs. They're aware that they must negotiate on all levels, from adjusting to the bedroom temperature to all major financial decisions. The change is going from a singlehood that allowed each of them to make a solo decision about what made them comfortable to couplehood that requires for both to be happy and comfortable. the grief of losing personal freedom to the anxiety of how far they must lose themselves to gain the us. Yes, change is inevitable. Change is happening every second, whether you realize it or not. However, you're choosing to be consistent with a belief or a behavior, and that is why it appears constant. I want to say this again. Change is happening every second, whether you realize it or not. However, it is you that's choosing to be consistent with a belief or a behavior that it makes it appears to be constant. It has the delusion that it's constant. You're not even breathing the same air every time you fill up your lungs, but it appears that you're consistently breathing the same way because you think that way. Inconsistency or change threatens our perceived sense of safety and security. Therefore, human beings need to create an illusion that all is constant to protect their own sanity. Human beings takes what has experienced in the past and projects it into the future to keep the momentum and consistency of existence. Creating a vision of the pleasurable future is the key to reducing anxiety of handling change, since it is a natural process to grieve for all that you are losing as a part of the change. Allow yourself to cherish all that you have gained, all that you have learned, experienced, and will hold within you as a pleasurable memory, complete with what you have to leave behind by talking to people, writing letters, writing in your own journal, expressing your appreciation about all that you have gained from those experiences. Cry if you need, laugh, hug, and kiss it goodbye. Now, create a visual picture of the future that you intend to create. Create a collage, write a detail of what you want to create, see yourself behaving, thinking, feeling, and accomplishing those goals. Enjoy the feeling of creativity and an achievement. When the what if negative ones show up, come back. Ask yourself if there's anything you could do for that not to happen, and then incorporate those steps into your daily planning. Observe your accomplishments so far, assess and identify your strengths and skills, and trust that you will use them when necessary. Realize that life has been changing constantly since you were conceived and born, and you have handled it. Therefore, you will handle any changes that it surfaces. If change intrudes upon you and takes you by surprise, use all your skills to handle it. View change as an ongoing concept, the same as you view the weather or driving conditions. Look for it, be prepared, and handle it with your strength. Change is inevitable. View it as an ongoing concept. Welcome it as the next level of your growth. Handle it with all your strengths and await the next change as it is guaranteed to show up. For more observational and integrational skills and to set intentional goals for your future, get my book, Life Reset, the Awareness Integration Path to Creating the Life You Want. Thank you. Well, here's the latest research. I don't know if you're going to like this, but I have to let you know. According to a new study, even light to moderate drinking is associated with harm to the brain. Researchers analyzed data from more than 36,000 adults that found a link between drinking and a reduced brain volume that begins at an average consumption level of, are you ready? Less than 1 alcohol unit a day, the equivalent of half a beer, and rises with each additional drink. The research using a database of more than 36,000 adults revealed that going from 1 to 2 drinks a day was linked with changes in the brain equivalent to aging 2 years. Heavier drinking was associated with an even greater toll. The science on heavy drinking and brain is clear. The two don't have a healthy relationship. People who drink heavily have alterations in brain structure and size that are associated with cognitive impairments. The link grew stronger the greater the level of alcohol consumption. The researchers showed that an example in 50-year-olds as average drinking among individuals increased from 1 alcohol unit, half a beer, a day to 2 units, a pint of beer or a glass of wine. There are associated changes in the brain equivalent to aging 2 years. Yes. Oh my God. Going from 2 to 3 alcohol units at the same age was like aging 3.5 years. The team reported these findings in the Journal of Nature Communications. So the researchers say that the fact that we have such a large sample size allows us to find subtle patterns even between drinking the equivalent of half a beer and 1 beer a day. These findings contrast with scientific and governmental guidelines on safe drinking limits. For example, although the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism recommends that women consume an average of no more than 1 drink per day, recommended limits for men are twice as that, an amount that exceeds the consumption level associated in the study with decreased brain volume. So ample research has examined the link between drinking and brain health with ambiguous results. While strong evidence exists that heavy drinking causes changes in the brain structure, including strong reductions in gray and white matter across the brain, other studies have suggested that moderate levels of alcohol consumption may not have an impact, or even that light drinking could benefit the brain in older adults. These earlier investigations, however, lack the power of large data sets. So probing massive quantities of data for patterns is the specialty of these researchers who have conducted previous studies using the UK Biobank, a database with genetic and medical information from half a million British middle-aged and older adults. They employed biomedical data from these resources in the current study, specifically looking at brain MRIs from more than 36,000 adults in the biobank, which can be used to calculate white and gray matter volume in different regions of the brain. Having this data set is like having a microscope or a telescope with a more powerful lens. So you get a better resolution and start seeing patterns and associations you couldn't do that before. So to gain an understanding of possible connections between drinking and the brain, it was critical to control all the confounding variables that could break this relationship. The team controlled for age, height, handedness, sex, smoking status, socioeconomic status, genetic ancestry, and county of residence. They also corrected the brain volume data for overall head size. The volunteer participants in the biobank has responded to survey questions about their alcohol consumption level, from complete abstention to an average of 4 or more alcohol units a day. When the researchers grouped the participants by average consumption levels, a small but apparent pattern emerged. The gray and white matter volume that might otherwise be predicted by the individual's other characteristics were reduced. Going from 0 to 1 alcohol units didn't make much of a difference in brain volume, but going from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 units a day was associated with reductions in both gray and white matter. It's not linear. It gets worse the more you drink. Scientists found that even removing the heavy drinkers from the analysis, the association still remained. The lower brain volume was not localized to any one brain region. To give a sense of the impact, the researchers compared the reduction in brain size linked with drinking to those that occur with aging. Based on their model, are you ready? Are you sitting down? Each additional alcohol unit consumed per day was reflected in a greater aging effect in the brain. While going from 0 to a daily average of 1 alcohol unit was associated with the equivalent of half a year of aging, the difference between 0 and 4 drinks was more 10 years of aging. This is some evidence that the effect of drinking on the brain is exponential. So one additional drink in a day could have more of an impact than any of the previous drinks that day. That means that cutting back on the final drink of the night might have a big effect in terms of brain aging. In other words, the people who can benefit the most from drinking less are the people who are already drinking the most. Well, I hope that sheds a light and maybe changes your drinking behaviors.
Togethernessmedia.com